Bringing an organization into security compliance can be a monumental task. Administrators must select and customize a security baseline from benchmark recommendations, implement and enforce that baseline through MDM, and then continually monitor enrolled devices to ensure they remain compliant. My name is Zach. Let's explore device compliance and learn how to implement a compliance baseline. When a computer or mobile device meets a baseline level of security recommendations set by an organization, that device is considered compliant. Compliance begins with creating a security baseline. These baselines are made up of many security recommendations, or rules, which are designed to work together to ensure a set level of security across all devices. After creating a baseline, administrators must implement and enforce the baseline in their environment. This can be done with configuration profiles, scripts, and other management tools from an MDM solution like Jamf Pro. Finally, administrators must continually monitor their enrolled device's compliance status using tools like the Compliance section of the macOS Security Portal. If a device falls out of compliance for any reason, steps can then be taken to bring the device back into compliance using a management solution like Jamf Pro. Each of these steps must be completed in order to maintain strong security compliance of all devices in an organization. Perhaps I'm an administrator who's been tasked with implementing the CIS Level 1 benchmark in my organization, with a few customizations. I can download the CIS benchmark and read through all the recommendations that make up the Level 1 profile, but how do I begin to organize and implement these rules in my management solution? One method to customize compliance benchmarks and export a compliance baseline is with the Jamf Compliance Editor app. The Jamf Compliance Editor can be found on Jamf's GitHub repository. See the link in the resources. After downloading, installing, and launching Jamf Compliance Editor, we're given the option to create a new project or open an existing one. Let's create a baseline for macOS using the CIS Level 1 benchmark. We can select the operating system we'd like to create a baseline for on the left, and can create a new baseline project with the button on the right. I'm selecting macOS and clicking Create New Project. Select the macOS release you'd like to target with this baseline, then click Create. I'm choosing Sequoia. We're prompted for a directory to save our baseline. I'm using my desktop, and then are asked to select a security benchmark to create our baseline from. I've been tasked with implementing the CIS Level 1 baseline, so I'm choosing that option from the list and clicking OK. After a moment, the baseline is generated and ready for customization. In the center column, we can see each security recommendation from the CIS benchmark that applies to the Level 1 profile. These recommendations can be sorted via the menu at the top right, either alphabetically by ID string or title, or numerically by their CIS control number. As a reminder, Level 1 CIS recommendations are prudent, practical security recommendations that typically don't interfere with a user's day-to-day experience on a device. So, accordingly, we see rules that ensure software is updated, the firewall is enabled, and certain sharing options are disabled, among others. Selecting a rule brings up a Details pane on the right. Clicking Show for each item expands that section, providing further information about that rule directly from the CIS benchmark. Rules are organized into sections on the left. Clicking Password Policy filters the list to only show rules pertaining to password policies. Some rules are customizable. Note that each rule in the Password Policy section contains a $ODV variable in the name. ODV stands for Organization Defined Value, meaning this rule can be customized to fit your organization's needs. Select Rule 5.2.1, Limit Consecutive Failed Login Attempts to ODV. If we click Show in the Rule Details pane for Organization Defined Value, we can see that the default setting is 5. As configured, this rule allows for 5 failed login attempts before a computer is locked. Perhaps we'd like to only allow 3 failed attempts before a computer is locked. Click Edit in the top right of the Details pane to edit this rule. Under the Organization Defined Value heading, change 5 to 3 and then click Done at the top. The Details pane updates with the new value of 3. The Rules pane updates as well. The rule name now has an M next to the name, showing that this rule has been modified. Perhaps we need to modify other rules in this baseline. Let's return to all sections using the link in the sidebar. Next, use the search field at the top to search for ODV. This filters the list of rules to bring up each one where we can specify an organization-defined value. Recall that this list currently only includes Level 1 rules, since we selected CIS Level 1 when creating this baseline. If we use the switch at the bottom to Show All, the rules list expands to show additional rules from the CIS benchmark that are not in Level 1. Perhaps I'd like to require that all computer passwords contain a special character. I'm selecting the checkbox next to Rule 5.2.5, Require passwords contain a minimum of 1 special character, and the Details pane updates with information about this rule. Note that an A has appeared next to the rule, denoting that this rule has been added to this baseline and is not here by default. Continue through each rule to configure and customize your baseline to your organization's standards. Once complete, we can select Create Guidance in the lower right to create our baseline. We're prompted for a name for our tailored benchmark. Provide a custom name. I'm entering 170 CIS Level 1, or simply press Return to use the default name. After a moment, we're notified that the guidance has been successfully created. Select View Project to open the directory where the baseline was saved. These files make up our security baseline. Each directory contains property lists, configuration profiles, and scripts that can be deployed to a computer to enforce each of the security rules we've just created. Jamf Compliance Editor also creates a PDF containing guidance documentation. Let's open this document and take a look. This PDF contains a list of each security recommendation included in our baseline, with all of the pertinent information from the CIS benchmark included. For instance, if we scroll down in the table of contents to Section 8 Password Policy, we can see that the rule for consecutive failed login attempts is using our modified value of 3, and the rule we added to the baseline requiring a special character in passcodes is here as well in Rule 8.6. Clicking the rule name will jump to that part of the documentation. Generating the baseline files is only the first step on the road to device compliance. How do we take the baseline contained in this folder and deploy it to hundreds or thousands of devices? At this point, a management solution such as Jamf Pro is needed in order to upload and deploy these configurations. If you're using Jamf Pro, you can return to Jamf Compliance Editor and click the Jamf Pro Upload button to automatically upload all the relevant files. If you're using another management solution, each of the files in the baseline directory will need to be manually uploaded. After uploading the baseline to Jamf Pro, a category for this baseline is created, and each of the uploaded items are organized under that category. For example, if we navigate to Computers, Configuration Profiles, we can see a number of new profiles organized under Sequoia 170 CIS Level 1. These profiles and scripts are now able to be scoped out to enroll devices to enforce the settings in the compliance baseline. For a full walkthrough of the deployment process using Jamf Pro, see the Jamf Compliance Editor User Guide. After deployment, the final step of maintaining device compliance is monitoring the enrolled devices to ensure they remain compliant. If our devices are enrolled in both Jamf Pro and Jamf Protect, we can monitor compliance status in the macOS Security Portal. Select Compliance in the sidebar. The Summary page provides a high-level overview of the compliance status of all computers enrolled in Jamf Protect. If we select the Baseline tab, we can see a list of all compliance rules reported on in the macOS Security Portal, containing both CIS Level 1 and Level 2, as well as rules maintained by Jamf. If we notice a computer fall out of compliance for a specific rule, we can select that rule on this page and locate the offending computer in the list below. We can then bring the computer back into compliance by using the recommended fix from the compliance baseline. Device compliance is a constantly moving target, needing careful administrator attention with each new operating system release. Using tools like Jamf Compliance Editor, Jamf Pro, and Jamf Protect, we can streamline the task of creating and implementing a security baseline into your environment. Be sure to check out the Jamf Compliance Editor documentation for more information on creating and deploying baselines. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in another video.